Hey all, and welcome to Shadow of Space, and we've got another BCP video today. This one is called Liberals Rage Over FBI Raiding Minneapolis Somali Daycare Centers as Ilhan Omar Goes Into Hiding. This was uploaded April 28th. This is being recorded April 29th, and link is in the description.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI. Two.
So Minnesotans, not Minnesotans, Somalis brought more than just built they didn't just build the economy, but we contribute to the soul of this great state. And I want to remind you that no human is illegal.
This is a slip.
You are not illegal. Our neighbors are not illegal. And
some of them might be.
Yeah.
Well,
you.
I mean,
large scale
they might be undocumented.
Raids
Does that
targeting
matter?
federal fraud currently underway. Federal agents seen leaving the Quality Learning Center, and Brooke Taylor has more on that and what they're looking for. Brooke, good morning.
Quality assurance.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Yeah, we have had a photographer there at the daycare since this morning, capturing video of those federal agents just going in and out of the building, collecting evidence as part of the DOJ's fraud investigation in
It is
Minnesota.
a pretty stark
Take a look
building.
at this video here. Sources tell Fox that federal agents are raiding about 22 businesses across Minneapolis this morning, and sources say many of them are tied to Somali-owned operations. All of this comes after that viral YouTube video from Nick Shirley. It was back in December. In that video, he visited different child care centers.
Boy. So we got to talk about some very positive news involving the FBI, who has raided the Somali daycare centers across Minneapolis, Minnesota. And this is something that we have been waiting on. We've been waiting for the feds to step up and to hold the Somali fraudsters accountable for their alleged crimes, right? This is what we have been waiting for as taxpayers, okay? And because of that, obviously, liberals are upset. They're boohoo, whining, crying. They are raging.
Homeland Security investigations, along with state, federal, and local law enforcement, raided 22.
They've been complaining the whole time, and I don't think anything has happened.
Minneapolis businesses today, Tuesday, April 28th. HSI said that these were court-authorized law enforcement operations in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area for reasons of operational security and for the safety of our agents. We will not comment further at this time. A good portion of the businesses that they raided were the Somali-owned childcares that were presented in Nick Shirley's viral video that had no evidence or support for the claims that he was making. Now, they are saying this has nothing to do with immigration and customs enforcement, even though HSI is a division within immigration and customs enforcement. It's also not surprising that the majority of these businesses were Somali-owned. Retribution's coming to Minnesota, right? Terrorizing our communities, terrorizing brown and black people is the point. Traumatizing them, making them feel unsafe in their places of work, in their homes, in their schools. That's the point. And I know there's going to be people in my post. Good. They're getting the fraud.
Okay, well, that's the whole point of the anti-ICE protests. So they do it to you, and that's bad, but you doing it to them is okay because they're doing it to you.
Terrorizing and traumatizing children and people that are in our communities. There are other ways to combat fraud than going on a Tuesday morning.
Name 3.
To a child care and raiding it. So for those of you wondering, it hasn't
Oh,
ended.
whoa. Going there in the middle of the day. Well, Nick Shirley went there in the middle of the day, and no one was there. And no one gave him crap for it because they were like, well, it's a daycare, so obviously the only reason that they would be open would be for the kids after school. Then there should have been no kids in there. Then no kids were traumatized doing this if they went in the morning, if they went during the day. If they went in the late afternoon, then yeah, there would be kids. No.
Minnesota.
No.
It's still very, very much on our front door.
Yeah, it hasn't ended.
Why do you think that is?
We gave up. They thought we gave up. No, we didn't give up. We're not letting this slide, right? I mean, I got to tell you, the Trump administration, they have their work cut out for them going into the midterms, right? They need to give the MAGA voters, right, something to get excited about, right? Some fireworks, right? And holding these Somali fraudsters accountable could be exactly what the doctor ordered for this administration. I'm just saying, right? Todd Blanche, it seems as if he's making some moves as the head of the DOJ. We're going to see. But regardless, this is a step that everybody wanted to see for a long, long, long time.
And thanks for joining us here on Fox 9 Morning News at 11 and on Fox Local. I'm Tom Butler. We start with breaking news this morning. Federal agents are fanning out across the Minneapolis area, conducting search warrants in connection with fraud investigations. Our Bill Keller joins us live from Minneapolis with the very latest.
They don't have warrants. They never have warrants to detain these people.
And good morning. Yeah, this has really been an active scene since early this morning. Unlike a lot of other high-risk warrants, there are no SWAT teams, no lights and sirens, just unmarked vehicles and federal agents armed with search warrants. Here's what we know. We've been out here since about 8 o'clock this morning, and at the center of this raid is a building near 28th and Park Avenue South. This is in the Phillips West neighborhood. On that building, there are signs for what appear to be two different businesses, including one, a child care center, another called the Somali Senior Center. But this is just one of 24 spots, we're told, where federal agents are stopping today. According to the FBI and Homeland Security, agents currently executing 22 court-ordered warrants across the metro area. They say they're leaving no stone will be left unturned. We have seen agents going in the building with stacks of empty boxes as investigators likely will be collecting a trove of evidence. Now, we are told this is not immigration related, but part of a federal fraud investigation that's looking largely, though, into these Somali-owned businesses. According to Special Agent Matthew Vogel, federal, state, and local law enforcement are now doing this as part of an ongoing criminal investigation into what they describe as, quote, rampant fraud of taxpayer dollars. Word of this new fraud investigation has many lawmakers reacting. Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer releasing a statement which read in part, President Trump and his administration have made it crystal clear our country will not tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse, and we are not going to allow people to take advantage of Americans' generosity. In fact, while the exact focus of this investigation is still unclear, the Minnesota Department of Children, Youth, and Families, which oversees some of these facilities, they say today's raids were actually the result of state, county, and federal agencies working together to root out fraud and hold bad actors accountable. Governor Walz just posting on social media, if you commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to get caught. And that's exactly what we saw today. He goes on to say that we catch criminals when state and federal agencies share information. Joint investigations work, and securing justice depends.
Is that the same Tim Walz? It can't be. Impossible. He's happy with the idea that they're going into these places and, according to this woman, traumatizing these Somali people.
On it, Tom, worth noting,
insane.
The city of Minneapolis telling its residents,
complete 180.
It clear they had no part in this. They were not asked to assist in the execution of any of these criminal warrants.
You know what's so funny about this?
This is work, and securing justice depends on it. Tom, worth noting, the city of Minneapolis telling its residents, they're making it clear they had no part in this. They were not asked to assist in the execution of any of these criminal warrants.
You know what's so funny
then
about
what is
this?
he talking about?
That Tim Walz is trying to take credit, right? Oh, This is what happens when we all work together. And
Take credit for what? For targeting Somali businesses? For cooperating with a branch of Homeland Security, which still isn't getting funded, I don't think.
it's like, well, why didn't you do this before, right? You knew about all these daycare centers. You knew that a lot of these operations were fraudulent. Why did it take a story like this going viral? Because of Nick Shirley's journalism, by the way, right? He's done way more.
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but wasn't he calling Nick Shirley names and saying he wasn't a real journalist? Was that just other people?
For the American people,
I feel like he was denying the Somali fraud.
Right? Nick Shirley, just one citizen journalist, has done more for this country, more for taxpayers than all of the mainstream media combined this year, right? Why did it take Nick Shirley exposing this in order for Democrats to start taking it seriously? In order for them to cooperate with the federal government? Yeah, you see what happens when you cooperate with the federal government, Tim Walsh, right? Now imagine how orderly and how great things could be if you applied that to immigration enforcement.
I don't know, because the one lady says that the Somalis are being traumatized by these raids.
Right?
Which is it?
If you applied that to getting rid of the illegals, just imagine how easy it would be, how orderly it would be. There would be no chaos, no drama. And we would deport a whole lot of illegals too, criminals. You know, the people that Democrats claim they don't want in the country. Yeah, it turns out that state and local and federal forces all cooperating. It's the easy way to go about doing this, right? The easy way to go about doing it. So Tim Walsh gets no credit, right? If he did cooperate, it's out of PR, right? But it's too little too late, okay?
We'll have the very latest in our later newscast, but for now,
Well, I mean,
we'll throw back to you.
Yeah, we will.
He just said that the state didn't even help. I don't know what he's talking about cooperation when there was no cooperation. Other than the local officers didn't stop them or didn't try to impede them. Like,
big story here. All right, Bill Keller with all the details. Bill, thanks so much for the report. Appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
Another defendant in the Feeding Our Future fraud scandal is set to be sentenced this afternoon. 38-year-old Mulata Ali pleaded guilty to one count of theft of government funds, helping launder money that was meant to feed underserved children.
Wow.
The government is recommending 1 year and 1 day for a prison sentence.
A year and a day.
Than that, to be honest with you. So speaking of Feeding Our Future, Ilhan Omar is under investigation by the state over her association with Feeding Our Future, right? Her role in Feeding Our Future. Also, when it comes to her own personal finances and things of that nature. But she's running away, right? She's nowhere to be found, right? She's gone missing as the state is demanding that she testify to answer some questions about the Somali fraud that is running rampant in Minneapolis.
Live by Minnesota State Representative Kristen Robbins.
Well,
she's the chair
it really just goes to show she's not going to answer questions about this daycare fraud. But Tim Walz is going to go on and say that he's happy that a branch of DHS is cooperating with state and local authorities to conduct these raids.
Minnesota House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee, also a candidate for Minnesota governor. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And we hear from Congresswoman Omar, who has said this discrepancy involving the Safari restaurant was nothing more than an accounting error. She has said that this is all just a partisan stunt. What is your response to those comments?
Safari restaurant?
Well, I take issue with that. This is not a partisan stunt. This is billions of Minnesota tax dollars and federal tax dollars, because it's a federal school meals program, that have been stolen. And she had a close relationship with some of the fraudsters who owned the Safari restaurant. She had her campaign events there. She appeared in a video that we played in committee where she was speaking in Somali from the restaurant, explaining how the Meals Act, her bill, is what created
she made a Zoran style video.
Opportunity for people to have much more access to these meals during COVID. So she was in on this from the beginning.
Before Zoran was even in the picture.
She was a spokesperson for the fraud, right? She was a spokesperson for the program that enabled the fraud, right? Amazing.
Of course she was.
Absolutely amazing. See, this is a great example of what you get with progressive legislation and progressive initiatives.
Because if she got kickbacks or like free lunches or things from them for being so supportive, then yeah, of course she would. Why wouldn't she?
Ilhan Omar was behind and pushing ended up to be mostly fraudulent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's kind of how it goes when you're talking about these people
spending
spending money.
Because
right? This is why
who better would know the loopholes and how to cheat the system than someone who is a part of the system.
Beg for more and more
because then when people recognize that it's broken and it doesn't work, then she can just sit there and yell, "You're right, the system is broken and we need to fix it." And then hoping that something more important will come along so that people will just ignore it.
Dollars. I'm like, no, I don't want to give you my tax dollars because you're going to blow it, right? You're going to give it to Somalis for them to send overseas to terrorists.
Think she should, as a public official, come and answer the questions. So she didn't show up. She didn't respond to us. She didn't respond to a reporter. So we've set a deadline for May 5th for her to respond to our questions.
What specific evidence do you have in regards to the Congresswoman's role in this alleged fraud case?
So there are a few things that are raising concerns, which is why we want to talk to her. So the first is that she authored the Meals Act, which was passed in March of 2020, and that took the guardrails off the federal school nutrition program. So all of a sudden, income requirements, the need to eat the meal on site, the fact that restaurants were now able to provide the meals, all of that happened because of her bill. So she took the guardrails off the program, and then her friends who own the restaurant and were some of the convicted fraudsters jumped right in and participated. So we need to understand that relationship. But also in the case, the court case, Feeding Our Future, which was the U.S. versus Amy Bach, her staff is participated. So we have friends who own the restaurant and were
numerous daycare. New Minnesota fraud going back a decade. 2013, numerous daycare fraud investigations start. Owner of Deco Family Centers arrested.
Some of the convicted fraudsters jumped right in and participated. So we need to understand that relationship. But also in the case.
2015, 4 Metro daycare centers accused of fraud for arrested.
The court case, Feeding Our Future, which was the U.S. versus Amy Bach. Her
2018 state-run program fraud investigation.
Staff is listed in many of
2019 auditor couldn't find anything substantiated.
Trial exhibits for communications
fraud investigated
between her
into
office
Feeding Our Future program. See, in this, it's this one right here in 29 that I don't quite understand. Couldn't find anything substantiated. So, does that mean that they couldn't find the claims of fraud substantiated? Or they couldn't find the like numbers of people that were in the daycare substantiated. The fraud numbers were wrong, and they couldn't find anything to back up those numbers because they were made up, because they were fraudulent.
People. So I want to get those underlying exhibit documents, and so I've asked her office for them. I think it's very important that we understand what kind of communication she was having with these fraudsters. And not everyone in the documents has been charged, but many of the people have been charged and convicted, and those that aren't, still had a relationship with her office. So we're trying to just understand the truth, and I think she owes it to taxpayers in Minnesota and around the country to come in and answer these questions.
Do you have a message for the Congresswoman tonight?
My door is open. I would love to meet with you and your staff. We would love to give you a platform to testify and share your side of the story. So we do hope you will come and join us at the House Fraud Prevention Committee.
I mean, you have given the Congresswoman a May 5th deadline to produce documents to answer questions in writing. It seems that as a federal lawmaker, she doesn't seem clearly legally obligated to appear before a state committee. What happens if she misses that deadline?
You know, I've been in touch with my colleagues.
2019 to 2025. Minnesota Autism Centers, nearly 2 million. Unemployment benefits, nearly 9 million. Medicaid, 50 million. Sober homes, 28 million. Evergreen recovery, 30 million. Provider overpayments, 40 million. Frontline workers, 45 million. New Way, 58. Child care CCAP, 150 million, and Feeding Our Future, 250 million. Total 650 million.
At the House Oversight Committee, because this was a state program
And that's
where
just
the
one
fraud
state.
happened, but it's a federal program, the
$500
Federal
million.
School Nutrition
Granted,
Program,
that was over
where the
what,
money comes from. So the
2019 to
federal government
2025,
also has
so 6
jurisdiction over
years.
this. So I've encouraged our colleagues on the House Oversight Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee in Washington to also take a look at this. And obviously, they also have jurisdiction over the changes in her campaign finance report, which showed she had at one point between $6 and $30 million, and now all of a sudden she has, under $100,000, and that's wholly their jurisdiction. But I also hope they get to the bottom of that, because clearly there's something very amiss there.
Facts. Where there's smoke, there's fire with Ilhan Omar. Everything having to do with her, how she got into the country, immigration, whether or not she was a real refugee, her name, her, you're talking about her friends in the Somali community, owning these businesses that got these funds that she signed off on, her finances, like everything about this woman is sketchy, right? Everything about her is sketchy. Like there's some there, right? You cannot convince me that there's not something going on with Ilhan Omar that has a criminal element to it, right? I'm just saying there has to be. She's just way too sketchy. So yeah, that's why these investigations are appropriate. I'm hoping that something actually comes out of these investigations. It's good to see that the FBI is taking the initiative and, raiding these allegedly fraudulent daycare centers, quality learning center, because clearly, a lot of this stuff is illegitimate, and I think that this is something that the administration really needs to campaign on, right? They really need to say, listen, this is what we've done to recover your taxes.
Again, I wouldn't jump the gun too much because we don't actually know what they found.
Dollars, right? This is the fraud, the waste, the abuse that we have fixed in this country, right? I believe that this is JD's initiative, so this is obviously something that he can brag about. But yeah, I want to see more of this. I want to see the administration focus a lot more on this, and this is something that Trump should definitely campaign on in the midterms. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment.
Man, what I would really like? I would really like a oh, I guess that doesn't matter because that's not really in our hands. Arguably this isn't either. That's what I think is. I think that we gotta wait and see what exactly they find in this investigation, especially into Ilhan Omar, because I don't even quite understand. Because it being some sort of clerical error makes sense, but she has to be able to prove it. She can't just say it. That's part of the problem. So you have to be able to prove it.